what are some of the other very important ways that people might be overlooking in which this war has been fought over the last 100 years that didn't involve full-on violence?
Before there was full-on violence, or when full-on violence was at a very limited level, you had what I would call a discursive war, a war of narratives, a propaganda war, you can call it, where people like Herzl are proselytizing this idea and are doing so successfully. His successor, Chaim Weizmann, their successors, people like Zev Jabotinsky, people like David Ben-Gurion, are both building up the Zionist project in Palestine and outside, building up its financial wherewithal, settling, purchasing land, involved in diplomacy and so forth. But they're also trying to establish a narrative in the West. And that has been a battlefield since the very beginning, one in which actually there was only one army or one actor, which was the Zionist movement, and later the State of Israel. I mean, on the other side, you had Palestinians who had almost no real access to or understanding of the kind of Western audiences that the Zionists were extremely effective in speaking to because they were Westerners themselves. You know, Chaim Weizmann is central to the British war effort. Herzl is an Austrian. Abba Eban is a South African. Golda Meir is an American. I mean, they emigrate to Israel, they become Israelis, but they speak English to English people or German to German people or whatever language we're talking about as natives, as people who are part of the political culture of these societies and can speak convincingly in a way that no Arab spokesperson for generations matches. And we're talking right up to, I would say, the end of the 20th, beginning of the 21st century, whereas you're talking about the 1890s, the first decades of the 20th century, where there's an effective and quite, I think, well thought out argument for Zionism being made. And that's what wins over politicians and public opinion over many decades. And it culminates, obviously, with the Holocaust. Zionism argues you cannot live safely as a Jewish community or as Jews outside of the ancestral homeland, what's called the ancestral homeland. And that argument doesn't convince many people. Most people either emigrate to the United States if they're unhappy, or they try and change the societies they're in, Germany, Britain, France, especially Russia. You don't have huge immigration to Palestine. You have tens of thousands, a few thousand, before Hitler comes to power. Hitler comes to power, everything changes. Suddenly, people are convinced by the Zionist argument in ways that they were not before that.